In this video, we're going to demo what we talked about with repetition structures. So first, let's consider the while loop. We can have a variable I equals 0, for example, and we want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. We can say while I is less than 10, and we put the colon there, and we say print I, and then we say I equals I plus 1. Now, if we don't do that, we'll get an infinite loop. So let's run this and see what we get. And there we go, just like we thought. But if we want to go from 1 to 10, we could actually set this instead and change this to equal. All right? And we run it again, and there we go. We can have other types of conditions here. So we could say, for example, now remember, this loop will always execute exactly once, but let's say response equals input. We'll give it a prompt. Enter yes or no, right? And then what we can say is while response equals no, print you said no. And then what we can say is response equals input. Enter yes or no. And now if we run it, what we'll see is this. Enter yes or no. It's all the way down here. And I forgot to put a colon there, but anyway, say no. Enter, you said no, enter yes or no, say no. Say yes, and we get out of our loop. Basically, this expression, when made true by the code in the loop, will execute. You could also have, if statements in here or whatever can go in here. Okay, you can also nest other loops in there. Another type of loop is called a count-controlled loop, and generally it uses what's called a for statement. We can say for v, which is some variable, in, and we'll say 1, 10, colon. Actually, I forgot something here. Oh, that's this. I got a bit of my help. So you can say var equal in 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, or whatever you want to put in there. That's called a list. Print v. Save it. Run it. Oops, it didn't. Oh, wait, whoops. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 7, 10. Okay. Now, what if we want to just do a simple loop through a range of numbers? We can use the range function. And here it would look like this. We can say in range 1, 10. Right, so now if we ran it, we'll get now remember, the range is, okay, I have one thing to know about. Range is inclusive on the beginning and exclusive on the end. So if we wanted to go from 1 to 10, we would have to go from 1 to 11, and that will give us 1 to 10. Okay? You can also iterate across different types of things. You could, say, iterate across Larry, Bob, Steve. Run it, can now do this. And there's Larry, Bob, and Steve. Now, because of the interesting properties of Python, you could also do this. You can give it different types. And that will work, but this is probably not the best idea. Anyway, So that covers range loops. You know, also if you wanted to do a range loop where, let's say we want to count from 10 to 1, range 10, 0, minus 1, this will give us the range loop in reverse. Okay. And there we go. Okay. Notice this time we said 10 to 0 by minus 1, so it went from 10 down to 1 because this one isn't, the right side isn't inclusive. So one other thing we're going to talk about is with a while loop, we could do something like calculate a running total. Let's say sum equals 0, I equals 0, while I is less than 10. We can say sum equals sum plus I. Alright, now we can come over here and say print sum we will get this something. And here we've made a classic mistake. We forgot to increment our counter and put ourselves in an infinite loop. I equals I plus 1. So now if we run it, we'll get what we expect. Sum equals 55.